Well, back to the old counter, huh? This is maple bacon. It's a medium roast, and it is absolutely amazing. I'm going to do this in a pour over because the maca pot has been amazing and fun, and I will use it over and over and over again. But today, I just feel like a nice pour over. Light on. Let's get you up to temperature. Don't look at that. So, how has your morning been? My morning's been actually pretty okay. I mean, it really doesn't change from day to day, but you know. You don't want it to change all the time. Look at this suction. That's so funny. Change, they say change is good, but I think stability is pretty darn good. I like stability. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to put this down to 20. And then I know where to put this with regards to, I don't need to measure anything out here. I know exactly how many beans to put in for a pour over. That many. Oh, all right. Here we go. Salty and a little bit of maple smell. It's really, really nice. This is a good coffee. Oh, here's something very interesting. Rather than horrible. I went to Fresh Time yesterday to buy some things for something I want to do here pretty soon, but probably today. But I went and I was just looking for coffee. They have their own organic coffee. I think it means that it was free ranged and not fed meat. I guess that's what organic means with coffee. And I was kind of just perusing the store a little bit just to see, because sometimes they'll have nice little fun bags of coffee from local coffee people, or maybe from Cleveland, or from southwestern Ohio, Cincinnati, kind of like that. So sometimes they'll have that like staggered around the store in little kiosks. Well, I found one, and what was nice about this particular bagged coffee, and I won't say their name. I don't think I could remember it properly anyway. But the nice thing about their bags was that they had on the side stamped the made date, so the creation date of the roasting date of that coffee. And some of them were brewed in January of this year, which is great. That's pretty much where you would want something like that. You'd want something that's been sitting for maybe a couple of weeks so that the flavors mellow. Because if you roast something and then immediately taste it, the flavor profile apparently, and this is something that I've been told via the internet, that the flavor profile changes dramatically between fresh out of the barrel roasting to maybe letting it sit a week or two. I guess it makes sense. Aging is a thing. Well, I found the one that was January of 2023, and then I looked at another row and I found the one that was August of 2022, and I'm like, that might have been sitting there a minute. It might be a little too long for that. And then I found another row, and it said November of 2021, and I'm like, this kiosk hasn't been here for longer than 6 months. Why is there a coffee that was roasted in 2021 on this kiosk? Now, I personally don't know the how a lot of those dates work. I mean, I could be completely off when I say, hey, if something is like a year old, it's probably not worth getting and drinking. I mean, that's me personally. I would stop and think for a second and probably not pursue that because there are so many other things that are fresher out there, especially when a 16-ounce bag cost what? I think it was like $13. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay $13 for a 2-year-old coffee. That's kind of what you're looking at when you look at the instant coffee, or even the store brand. If you go to Meijer, and Meijer's got a store brand pre-ground coffee. I mean, it could be that old, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it or wrong with someone that would go and buy that. I mean, the person that's just looking for a cup of coffee isn't going to care, and that's fine. I mean, would I say they're missing out a little bit? Yeah, I would say they're missing out a little bit, but I'm not going to, get angry or or yell at them or chastise them because that's how they want their coffee, and that should be fine. I'd be more than happy to offer them some kind of an alternative, like, hey, try this. Not only is it fun, but it's, it tastes nicer, it tastes fresher. You've gone through the effort of grinding the beans yourself, boiling the water yourself, using this incredibly analog system in order to make your coffee. And that's, and there's something tactile, there's something about the tactile feeling of doing this yourself that kind of makes it feel, like an accomplishment. Every morning I feel accomplished. You should have seen my face when I did that maca pot for the first time. How accomplished the hell I was. Holy cow. But anyway, so there may not be anything wrong, more or less, with buying and grinding coffee that's, let's say by this point, a year and a half old. But you are losing a lot because the more gas, and that's what this little valve is. This isn't a sniffing valve. I don't know if you can see the little, we'll call it an anus here at the back of the coffee. That's not for sniffing. That's for escaping gas because, I mean, the long short of it is this stuff is decomposing. And, any food stuff, whether it be peanuts, whether it be trail mix, whether it be stovetop stuffing, sure, that stuff is processed, but there's still a shelf life on it to the point where you would not want to eat it. And this stuff is, it's best when it's fresh, and by fresh I mean not a year and a half old, in my opinion. So I saw that, and it kind of, and sometimes when you get to those kind of specialty stores, I've gone to a couple of places. I think we went to Hills Market and found some, I don't know, I forget what it was. It was some kind of an organic thing in a kiosk, and their areas are very small. Their aisles are very small. So, I mean, it was expensive real estate that they were taking up. And some of that stuff was a year, 2-year old. Some of it well beyond its date. And I'm talking food stuff. I'm even talking I think it was like pickles or something like that. And it was like, these have been sitting here for a very long time. And, sometimes the smaller shops have so much going on or have so few staff that, it is it's a struggle. So, the best thing you can do is, if you feel they're open to the criticism, just go up and say, hey, I found this jar. It is well beyond its expiration date. When you get a chance, you may want to check the rest of the jars to make sure. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to go up to somebody and scream at them, hey, are you trying to poison us? Because 9 times out of 10, they're not, So they're not trying to poison you. They're not trying to kill you. They're not trying to make you sick. They're just busy. And that group of organic, never touched soil because they were grown from a hanging trellis all of their life, bunch of pickles, are not higher on their priority list. That aisle is not something they're worrying about today. So that was a rant. Well, I wish I'd have started that earlier. It had been less awkward in the beginning. But we're still going here. Yeah, look at that. It's just so pretty. Look at it. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to lift it up this way because I can get a better grip on it. Oh, I see. I put a bow on it. See? I put a bow. Isn't that nice? But yeah, look at that. Oh, it's just going so well. Still got a nice flat even bed, even though I swirled it there and it's going to run up on the tops there. So we're going to just a little bit more. I don't know. I might froth. Maybe I'll do some... you know what? This is pretty good on its own. I don't think the maple bacon will benefit from milk. This just tastes great on its own. This is my Janeway mug. To the Journey, it says on the bottom. This is a documentary. Look, because they did a documentary that unfortunately I still haven't watched. It's on my list. I've just not had, I've forgotten that it's there until I remember it's there, and then I forget that it's there again. But there was a Deep Space Nine retrospective that somebody did that had a bunch of the cast come back and talk about their experiences and the production and whatnot, the cast, writers, set designers, that kind of a thing. And they're doing the same thing for Voyager. So I did their Indiegogo, and the only reason the only reason I really did it was for the Janeway mug. This is the one that she uses on the ship to drink her coffee in. So I just thought that was neat. And it's just, if it's tin, it's metal. This is a plastic handle. It's got nice caps for the screw holes. It's unremarkable except for the bottom where it says "To the Journey." But it's neat. I like it. I enjoy it. It's great. And that's what matters. So, give it a little clean out because I forget whether I've done that or not. How are we looking over here? I think we are about through. That's not a bad bed. It's not a flat even bed, but it's not a bad bed. I'd sleep in that. Not outrageously lumpy. Watch the little bubbles pop as the gas escapes as it's giving its last breath. Okay. Me. Boom. All right. Anyway. There's coffee in that nebula. I thought it was funny. Yeah, that's great. And it's so funny because he's like, hey, there's a little bit of saltiness in the back of my tongue. That's great, and that's the bacon. And then in the front, it's like, oh, there's a little bit of sweetness. Didn't somebody disprove that? Just your tongue doesn't have segments? Who cares? I don't care. I'm not a scientist, and it doesn't affect my day-to-day. So, To the Journey, which I think we're all on right now. And this is delicious. If you want a mild coffee, but if you're interested in these and you're afraid of the extreme flavors, like I have a strawberry shortcake, the flavor is a little bit extreme. Not extreme bad, just there's a lot of it. A lot of not coffee flavor. The raspberry chocolate that I had yesterday, very raspberry, hint of chocolate. It's very overwhelming. There's very little coffee, but it's just overtaken by the raspberry. This is a really good coffee to start with. It's not. It doesn't hit you over the head. The flavors are there. They're not overwhelming. You taste your coffee. If you want a medium roast, this is great. If you want a medium roast with a little bit of something extra that you don't want to pour sugar in, you don't want to add milk to, it's really nice. This is definitely a great starter coffee. And then you just graduate yourself into the other flavors as slowly as you feel. And this is a good size. I think this was 14 ounces? Doesn't really give the ounces on here, does it? I think these were 14-ounce bags. They also have sample packs, which you can like choose a bunch of samples and have them sent to you and pay for it, but they're samples packs, so they're like 4 ounces. But yeah, I would get that because it's a nice subtle, but you still get an interesting flavor other than coffee. And I really enjoy that. Okay, to the journey. You guys have a good weekend and stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.